Ready, Matt? Quit
Ready.
adjusting. What are you doing?
No,
Adjusting.
it's the wire was on my. Hang on.
Thought you were
I
like,
got it. Head and
Like-
Shoulders commercial. Yeah.
yeah, getting the dirt off his shoulder.
Yeah. Brush my shoulders off.
Yep.
Ready.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Not Just Politics as Usual. Today is a more somber show because we are approaching the 60th anniversary of JFK's assassination. So who better to discuss this with me but the boys from Midas Gold, who are huge George fans and huge Kennedy fans. So kind of a somber day because this marks 60 years since JFK's assassination. But interestingly enough, I think it was yesterday, I got an email from RFK's campaign, and it said this. It was a press statement just on the 60th anniversary of JFK's death, and it said, John F. Kennedy's assassination left an indelible scar upon the American psyche. Everyone who was alive at the time can remember where they were on that day. Of all the legacies that my uncle left for our country, there is one that has not yet been fulfilled. During his term in office, he upheld a vision of America as a nation of peace, a vision that was abandoned after his death. For the next 60 years, we maintained a military empire squandering trillions of dollars as our economy hollowed out and our health and infrastructure decayed. So here's where he gets in it. My promise to the American people is that I will put us back on the road to peace that JFK led us toward when, shortly before his death, he issued a national security order to withdraw American advisors from Vietnam. We will instead take a path back toward peace and prosperity. On November 22nd, the Kennedy campaign is launching a petition demanding President Biden keep his promise and release all JFK assassination documents as required by law. And I didn't know this. I learned this from this press release. But there was a 1992 Kennedy Records Assassination Act that mandated the release of all the records related to the JFK assassination by 2017. And I think Trump tried to do it, but for some reason or another couldn't get that done. Why do you think it's so hard to get these records out? It happened in 1963. Why do you guys think it's taken us so long?
Because it would implicate our own government in Kennedy's death. Kennedy was killed clearly by the CIA. They've been covering it up for decades. And if that information got out, you might just have to shatter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter them into the wind. 100%. 100%. I was just going to add, I think, Matt, you're absolutely right. Love being right.
But the thing is, it's probably so egregious of how they hit it. People who probably did it are still out, and just for the nation to understand, like, hey, we actually did this to ourselves, and we know who did it, and maybe they're even in positions of powers, or it could be, a famous, political family or something like that that's involved now. So I just think it's probably a little too dirty to show the public. I imagine that's why Trump didn't do it, because he said he was going to, right?
Yeah, but I think he wants them to do it. I think he wants to force them to do it. That's my view.
Yeah, that could be. I think it was, last year and this year. Last year, I visited Dealey Plaza. I was down there for an event, and on the way back to the airport, I was like, hey, let's stop by Dealey Plaza. So I got to see where the X was. I got to kind of, take in the area of what it looks like. And it was really a somber day. It was a very sad moment, but you're just thinking, this is crazy. This man was just driving through here and then was killed. And then earlier this year, I had the chance to go to Washington, D.C. and see the gravesite of JFK as well, which was, again, just seeing those historic, those sites, it helps put things into perspective, what was taken from us that day, because think of how much America has changed since November 22nd, 1963, when JFK was taken away from us. And it's really hard not to think, what would America have been like had he not been killed, had he not been assassinated that day? So let's take a really quick break. And when we come back, we'll discuss what the American people think about this. And I think you probably already know what it is, but let's find out when we come back.
Hey, fans of Rachel Rightside Blonde. My name is Gene Ho, editor-in-chief of George Magazine. I know you're busy watching Rachel's show, but I want to also let you know about my show on the same network, George Video. Now check it out. My show is called At Home with Gene Ho. Clever name. But you'll enjoy it because I do talk a little politics, a lot of God, and also a little bit about American life and homesteading. By the way, we get to talk about my fat cow, my cow, which we hope is pregnant. Give us a calf, get us some milk. Anyway, we're going to talk all about that at Home with Gene Ho right here on the George Video Network.
Welcome back to Not Just Politics as Usual. We are talking about the 60th anniversary of JFK's death, his assassination. There was a recent Gallup poll that came out that said 65% of Americans feel that there was more than one shooter. And 6% of people said they didn't really know. So they had no opinion. They probably just didn't want to say one way or the other. So that gives us, 70% of people in America think something, they either don't know or they think there's something crazy going on. With those kind of stats, it's just amazing that more people aren't, just coming out and demanding the truth. Because this is a huge thing. If it is true that the CIA, worked with other entities, we'll just say it like that, in America, to kill a sitting president, that, like you said, it has implications even to this day.
Did you ever watch the Able Danger show with Phil McConnell back in 2019?
Mm-mm.
He had a very interesting caller that used to call in. His name was Mad Dog. And Mad Dog would call in, and he told us how Kennedy was assassinated. And it was 40 snipers, 40, that were set up around, and they all just went at it. That's probably why the Secret Service agent jumped off the back of the car, right? He probably knew that gunfire was coming in from different directions. But to my understanding, that's how Kennedy died.
I've heard so many different theories. I've heard there was someone in the sewer, like down, hidden in the street, and I've heard all kinds of different things.
Could be part of it.
Yeah. So I really think it's time that we find out what happened that day.
Who was running the CIA at that time? Was it Bush, or was that
Bush? Wasn't. He was at the scene. He wasn't running the CIA at the time.
Yeah. But just imagine if that family had something involved, right, and then went on to have two presidents, and it could be a reason why this never really comes out. It's easy for people to accept, hey, our CIA probably did this, but then to put a face to it, that's where you might have some outrage, right? So I think that's probably the hesitation.
Yep, I think you're right. I was just curious what John Kennedy Jr., he was only 3 years old. He was just shy of 3 years old when this happened. And he said, his biographer wrote that Kennedy said, that act and that day does not have much to do with my life. My father's life has to do with my life. So he was always, during his life, he never really wanted to talk about it. He wanted us to focus on what he did when he was alive and not his death, which obviously I would feel the same way if my father was taken that same way. But he also said, I don't understand why people are so fascinated with my father's death. And he couldn't understand why people focus so much energy on it. He wanted people to remember his father for the life he lived. And that's how he wanted others to remember him. So he also didn't discuss the Warren Commission. I think, just for him being so close to the act, it was his father. And then at one point he said, even if he spent the rest of his life trying to find the answers, it would not change the central operative fact that I don't have a father. So just tying it back to George and JFK Jr. and him growing up without a father. So there is a new podcast by Rob Reiner. I need to check this out because I think a couple have already come out where this guy went and did a ton of research, interviewed tons of people. And I know that a lot of these have been done, a lot of documentaries. You could spend a whole year probably watching the documentaries and reading the books that have come out about this. But this is one that has been featured a lot on the news lately, and I need to check it out. But it sounds very interesting. And I also saw on the History Channel that they featured I think it was a 3-night special on Kennedy as well, which I thought that was cool. And also, let me find it really quick. I don't usually buy tabloids when I go grocery shopping, but this was there. They have Jackie Kennedy right there too. I thought, okay, I have to buy it. It's right there. So
absolutely.
It's just interesting.
Yeah. I have some of those. I actually have some of those original photos on 35 millimeter that you see in the magazines. I'll pull them out one of these days and show them to you.
You need to share these.
Yeah.
You need to share them. Okay, we'll take one more quick break. We'll be right back and keep discussing this 60th anniversary.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt.
And I'm Drew.
And we're the hosts of the Boomerang Podcast. But we're also brokers here at Midas Gold Group. And people really like working with us because we're just a small mom and pop shop. We have a storefront here in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where Drew and I work. And you can come right in. You can come say hi, shake our hand, right? We do physical gold, physical silver. We also do it in people's IRAs. And really what our goal is, I think, is to give people a lens, have people really understand the asset, because with what's going on around the world, it's only going to get worse. And I think people are going to see more and more importance of having their money outside of the banking system, right? Out of the markets and out of the Federal Reserve note dollar.
Absolutely. And we really appreciate everybody watching us on the Boomerang Podcast on YouTube and Rumble. We also have a promotion going. If you guys are interested and would like to learn more, we are giving out some free silver. You can text Boomerang to 232425. 23 24 25. Text Boomerang. And thank you again, and look forward to talking to you guys on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Now, is Rob Reiner, is he the
Meathead.
yeah, he's the movie producer, right?
Yeah, he's the one who played Jordan Belfort's dad in Wolf of Wall
But he's
Street.
the crazy liberal guy.
He's a crazy liberal guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of actually good then, because maybe if he comes out with something that
Exactly.
says, hey, guess what? Your government sucks.
Yeah, we'll get him from all
It'll
angles.
wake up some people. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Not Just Politics as Usual. We were just talking about Rob Reiner over the break. And, Andrew brought up that he is a liberal. And we thought, maybe that's a good thing if he comes out and he, we have to wake up all Americans to what was done. I would venture to guess that the 30% of Americans who said that it was one shooter, they might be, more trusting of the government, we'll say. Right?
Could be.
So, yeah. Speaking of RFK, here's another thing I wanted to share. So, the one thing that Kennedy did say about his father's death was that Bobby knew everything. Let me find that. He made a cryptic comment that Bobby knew everything, referring to Robert Kennedy, the president's brother. It made me think JFK's brother knew things that the public and maybe the Warren Commission did not. And now you have RFK coming out, and he's laying it out there. Have you guys seen these interviews he's been giving?
Yep. Lighting him up.
Yep.
He's not staying quiet. So I saw him in an interview. I know that we're going a little bit off topic, but he was talking about his father's death, and Sirhan, who basically they said killed his father. But RFK said that Sirhan was a distractor, and the real shooter was behind my father. He was a man called Eugene Thane Caesar, claimed RFK Jr. strongly. Caesar was reportedly a CIA op and an alleged enemy of the Kennedy family. After briefly introducing Caesar and explaining his motive to kill the late Attorney General RFK Jr., he went on to allege that it was the very same man who staged the ordeal using Sirhan as a scapegoat. And I know that RFK said he's been to prison and actually talked to Sirhan as well. Sirhan, I don't know how you say it. Sirhan
or something.
Sirhan, I don't know.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about. So I think that we as Americans, we have so much to learn that maybe might even shock us who've done our research and have maybe an idea of how bad it is, but maybe it is so bad. Maybe
it's one of those things collectively, though. Everybody just wants to know. It's like, just give us, like, the hell happened? Just let us know. It's been so long. Just spill the beans, man.
I know.
I know. Everybody wants to know.
And they held Kennedy's funeral on Junior's 3rd birthday, which is the really sick part.
And a lot of the, people talk about the numbers. It happened 3 days before his 3rd birthday. So there's the 33. So they're putting a little mark on it. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, hopefully someday you will. This whole number weird. I know Kelly calls it the freaks.
The freaks. Yep.
The freaks.
That's exactly what they are. The freaks.
Yeah. They like to use numbers. So speaking of freaks, there's an article coming out next month that I wrote about the earliest third-party political party that we had in America. It's not the Independents. It's not the Green Party. It was actually the Anti-Freemason Party, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That even in the late 1700s and early 1800s, we had a political party devoted to anti-Freemasonry.
They knew.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
So this has been going on a lot longer than I think a lot of people can understand. So
It's mind-blowing how long the deep state's been around. They've been around since the inception of the country, and they've been trying to dissolve this place since it started.
yes. Yep. I just had a conversation last night with a good friend about that, how it's almost like since it was birthed.
It's incredible history.
It's been around. Yep. Well, can you guys give us like a 2 to 3 minute, tell us what's going on with gold, silver, anything that's shocking that's happening that people need to know about before we finish up?
So we just got off the line with Juan O'Savin. We're going to launch that interview next week, so hopefully people can come check it out on the Boomerang podcast. But, you know, what Juan talks about pretty much aligns with the way Drew and I kind of sell gold and silver, and that is you're parking your money somewhere. It's not meant to, you know, make you rich. It's not here, you know, for gold to go from, you know, 2,000 up to 50,000 and you made $48,000 profit, right? It doesn't work like that. It's things are about to get very chaotic, right? The world according to Juan. And during the chaos, it's a great place to park your money. It's a great place where, you know, obviously you need to have money in the bank, but, you know, anything you have in excess that, you know, you don't want exposed to the coming, you know, banking crisis, political crisis, right? There's gonna be a lot of problems here in the next, year and a half, I think his estimate was.
Yep.
Just stay out of harm's way. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities on the other side to reinvest that money into businesses, you know, into land, you name it. You know, I don't think the opportunities are right now to invest. I think the opportunities are after what's coming. And I think that's what excites me about gold and silver is it's not the opportunity now. It's redeploying that money back into the system and taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves.
Correct. A storage of value, right? So again, like we're not saying it's going to go up, but when you have turmoil, and as Juan would say, you know, when the economy, the markets, things aren't working is when you want to get out of harm's way. And that's where you want to park your money into gold and silver. And historically, you know, 10, 15% is, you know, I think a good diversification. But with everything happening and what's going to be coming down the pike, you might want to up that diversification up in gold and silver, right? And then exactly as we come out the other side and we, you know, Trump's back in office, we've righted the ship, right? That's when you want to then redeploy back into the market, right? So you don't just sit on gold and silver, you know, for the next 50 years. You wait for times of turmoil like we're in now. You know, you might sit on it for, you know, 1 to 3 years and then redeploy it, right? And then rinse and repeat as time goes on.
Right. I will leave you with this for the people that, you know, like gematria and numbers and that kind of thing. You know, we were talking about the freaks and their numbers and how the good guys have to like undo what they've done. It's like it's not what we believe in, it's what they believe in, but to take those back. And, you know, the thing was always X marks the spot. And that's where Kennedy died. But X in gematria is 24. So I feel like some kind of a reckoning is coming in 2024, maybe.
I agree.
So, all right.
And
well, I thank you guys so much. Oh, yeah.
One thing I just want to add on the anniversary of Kennedy's death, and that is kill the bull.
I love it.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that deep state.
You know what? Roseanne, I saw, was holding up one of those mega jackets at one of the recent Trump rallies. So that's pretty cool.
Signed by Trump.
I love it. Now, so whose jacket was that? Was that Roseanne's jacket?
I think no, that was actually the second one. So Trump signed one for the person who bought the signed Magador print. This one that has also Trump's signature. That went
Okay.
for $27,500 at Mar-a-Lago 2 weekends ago. That the one that Roseanne was holding was the other Trump jacket that they had another bidder step in and was going to match that offer. Going to animal rescue causes. So that was actually the jacket that somebody else matched that offer and got the same deal. The jacket with the signed canvas.
And Rachel, if you haven't seen it yet, we did an interview with Jacob Chansley, QAnon shaman.
I haven't watched it, but I saw you guys have a very good social media guy named Justin who is doing a good job. So good job, Justin. He's
Good
over
job,
there
Justin.
smiling.
Good job, Jay.
I did
So,
see
yeah.
the teaser for it, so I need to check it out.
That's definitely a good one. And he's going to run for office here in Arizona. He just came out with his candidacy. So if anybody's interested in hearing his story,
He's a very interesting
we
guy.
didn't beat the J6 to death. I think everybody pretty much knows all that. So we got into a few other topics, but it's a good watch.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you,
Have
Rachel.
a happy Thanksgiving,
You
and
too.
we'll see you next week.
All right.
Salute.
Salute.